I'm so thankful to be here with you and to be moving with you. Even though we're always working on moving more parts of us, today we're going to work on that in some unique ways. So please be patient with yourself, listen to your body, and if any movement is not working out for you, just know that it's something that you can work up to, so don't force anything. Before we come onto our backs, I want to show you a couple things we're going to do with our fingers because it might not be easy for you to see when you're on your back. So first is, imagine if I'm lying on my back right now. You're going to reach your hand so the palm of your hand faces the ceiling, and we're going to gently pull back and stretch each one of our fingers at a time. And then at another time when we're on our back, we're going to stretch the opposite side of our hand. So with our elbow bent, we're going to turn our wrists down, our fingers down, and we're going to gently pull our fingers towards our forearms. And this gets a little bit more of the back of the hand, maybe into the forearm. And you want to take your time and really focus on your fingers and your forearms today because we're going to do quite a few things on the wrist. And so the more that you're able to get range of motion in your hands and your forearms over time, the less pressure you'll feel on your wrist when you're on all fours or load bearing on your arms. That being said, let's come on to our backs. Have something under your head. If you know you tend to thrust your ribs a lot, you can put something under your shoulders and something a little bit higher underneath your head. Let's start out with just stretching our legs nice and long, and then reach your arms out to your sides, palms up. Think of your tailbone tilting down so the back of the thighs come closer, ribs relax down, but all without force. And so if you find that you have to force any of these things, this is where you'd want to use bolsters and lift your shoulders a little bit higher. And with your palms face up, just sweep your arms up and down by your sides like you're drawing snow angel arms. And just be conscious as you're going up that you're trying to move from the shoulder and not the spine. And a lot of times as arms go up, people's ribs lift up. So if you notice that happening, then don't go so high. Let your range of motion be smaller. And that's how you will succeed in getting a greater range of motion in certain areas over time. Tuning into your breath here. Relax your chin in towards your throat. Feel your upper back and your chest spread wide. And then nice and slowly as your arms go up, bend your right knee as your hands come down to draw that knee in a little, but you're not trying to draw it in so far that you tilt your spine towards the floor, keeping your tailbone down as the knee draws in. And then we'll reach the arms back up as the leg extends, and we'll switch. The left knee comes in as the hands come down, and extend and arms rise up. And we'll go back to the right knee and extend as arms reach over and over to the left knee and extend as arms reach over. And then from here, we'll just reach our arms overhead, spread out through all your fingers gently, spread out through all your toes. You can let your hands rest on the floor, or you can even put a block underneath your hands. And then next time your arms come down, you're going to bend both of your knees and bring them in. And then as your arms sweep up, just tap your heels down to the floor. And knees come in as arms come down without lifting your tailbone off the floor. And let's do that a few more times. Heels tap down as arms sweep up. All right, let's go back to extending your left leg. Extend your left arm overhead. Your right arm comes down and hugs your right knee in. So one arm is reaching long, one leg is reaching long, and the other side is hugging in. And then we switch. Reach your right arm long, bring your left leg in, bring your left arm in. So you're reaching through the right side of your body as you draw your left knee gently in. Breathing here. All right, and then keep your left knee in, bring your right knee back in to meet it, tilt your tailbone to the floor so you might even feel that natural lift behind your waist, and just roll your spine a little bit side to side across your lower back. Breathing. And then place your feet down. And for these bridge lifts, you might decide that you don't want something underneath your head. I have something that's not too high, so it feels okay being under my head. But if it doesn't feel comfortable, just slide it out. With the outer edges of your feet straight, your ankles hip distance apart. Press into your feet and lift your hips up into the air. And slowly lower down. And as you lift and lower, try to continue to feel that your feet are straight, your knees are staying hip distance apart. And muscles are going to engage, but you don't want anything to overly clench. So just notice if you feel anything working overtime, maybe both of your buttocks muscles, maybe one of your buttocks muscles, maybe inner or outer thighs, and just try to mentally relax that area a little bit. All right, so that's the motion we're gonna do as we stretch our fingers. So reach your right hand into the air, tilt your wrist back so the palm of your hand faces the ceiling, and gently pull back on your pinky finger as you push into your feet and lift your hips up. And lower your hips down nice and slowly. Pull back on your ring finger. Hips lift up without thrusting your ribs into the air. And slowly lower down. Pull back on your middle finger. And hips lift up. Shoulder, elbow, wrist in line. And lower down, pull back on your pointer finger, press into the soles of the feet equally as the hips lift up, and lower down, and then gently pull your thumb away from your other fingers and down as you press into your feet and lift your hips up, and lower down. Okay, now we have to do the other side. So shoulder, elbow, wrist in line, flex or extend your wrist rather, let your palm of the hand turn towards the ceiling, pull back on your pinky finger, press into the feet evenly as you lift your hips up and lower. Pull back gently on your ring finger, kind of get that set up so that now you can pay attention to how your legs are feeling as you lift your hips up and lower down. Gently pull back on your middle finger and press into the soles of the feet as you lift up and lower down. Go over to the pointer finger, pulling it back. Press into the soles of your feet as your hips lift up. And lower down, and then pull your thumb away from your other fingers and down towards the floor and pushing into your feet and lifting your hips up. And lower down, and then release that thumb. Now you're going to extend your left leg long, bend your right knee in. Start with your right hand on your right rib cage, so you're keeping your ribs down as you turn from the waist and the pelvis. So your lower body's going over to the left, and then once you can feel that your ribs are staying down and you're just turning from the waist and pelvis, reach that right arm into the air, create a soft fist, and circle your wrist around. And try to go nice and slowly so you can really feel your forearm as you move your wrist. And if you find a particularly tight spot, you could even just stay at that part of the circle. And then pause and circle in the other direction. And then bring your leg back, extend your leg long, bend your left knee, left hand to left rib cage. Keep the ribs relaxing down as you turn from the waist and the pelvis. It might not be very much at first. Your right hand can stay on your left leg, and then your left hand reaches into the air. Create a soft fist and circle your wrist around. And try to draw a complete circle. You often find that parts of the circle come easy and other parts are more challenging, or your wrist naturally wants to move quicker through those. Try to go a little bit slower through those areas. Pause and circle in the other direction. It's It's always so tempting to move quickly. I don't know why that's our instinct. A lot of times when we're doing stuff like this, I think we just live in a fast-moving world, but do try to slow down and really feel the motion. I even find myself, as I'm saying that, sometimes going quicker. All right, and then bring that leg back, bend both of your knees, and now you have options. With your feet straight, ankles hip distance, option 1 is to cross your right ankle over and stay here. This is a great option. Option 2 is to grab a block or something that you use as a bolster, and at any height, the lowest height, the medium height, you could stick it under your foot to give your foot a little bit of a lift off the floor, and you decide how far away you want it to feel the stretch in your hips. And option 3 is, if you want to, you can just hold your legs in the air, but we're going to do other stuff with the hands. So make it your choice. I think I'm going to do the block today. So with ankle crossed over, let your tailbone tilt down to the floor, even if you're keeping your left foot lifted in the air. And now we're going to do the back of the hands. So with your right arm up, elbow bent, turn your wrist down. Turning the wrist down is important because if you just pull on the fingers, it's not as effective. So turn the wrist down and gently pull your pinky finger back towards your forearm. And then gently pull your ring finger back towards your forearm. Feel that you're on the center of your spine. You're not rolling to one hip or the other. Pull your middle finger back towards your forearm. Pull your pointer finger back towards your forearm. Pull your thumb gently back towards your forearm. And then release, and let's switch sides. So uncross your ankle. If you're using a prop under your foot, you can move it over there. Again, you can just keep your foot on the floor, cross your left ankle over, or you can just hold your foot in the air. So your choice, but you're still trying to tilt your tailbone away from you as your thigh bones come in towards you. Find the center of your hips, reach your left hand into the air, elbow bent, wrist turns down, and pull back gently on your pinky finger. And then to your ring finger, wrist bending down, fingers gently pulling back. Remember, these are small muscles, so you want to move slowly and with awareness here. Middle finger pulls back. It often gets tighter the closer you get to the pointer finger. Pointer finger pulls back. And then thumb gently pulls back towards the forearm. And then release. Okay, uncross your ankle. If you're using that block, you can pick it up and move it out to the side. Now you are going to want to take out whatever is under your head. And if rocking on your spine does not feel good for you or does not work from you, then please skip it. But otherwise, bring your knees in hip distance apart, and you're just going to rock yourself up, and we're going to rock forward and back a few times. And the goal is to actually, over time, use less kicking of your legs, less momentum. So the more that you allow your spine to round here, the more smoothly you'll be able to rock forward and back. So rolling back to between your shoulder blades and back up. You're just going to about between your shoulder blades or a little bit lower. And rolling back and up. Let's do that a few more times. And come on up. Okay, come around. Actually, not come around, sorry. You're going to sit up like this with your feet in front of you and your hips. Now you're trying to tilt your pelvis into neutral, and so you have an upright pelvis. And if that's not happening at all, sit on something higher. Put a block or some pillows underneath your hips. But starting with your feet hip distance apart, and we're just going to be here for a little while. So you're sitting up tall. Relax your elbows by your side and slowly drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then bring your head up nice and slowly and left ear towards left shoulder. And then bring your head up nice and slowly and take your right arm up and over into a side bend. And then take your left arm up and over into a side bend. And then bring your hand down. Now walk your feet wider. So walk, heel toe your feet out so they're wider. Still try to sit upright with your pelvis, inner thighs open. And we'll, with our ribs relaxing down, we'll slide our ears back and drop our right ear to our right shoulder. Relax your shoulders. Bring your head up nice and slowly, left ear to left shoulder. Try to feel like you could even draw an imaginary line between your ear and your shoulder, because a lot of times when people drop their head over, they don't realize they drop it forward or back. And bring your head up, and let's do side bend. Let's do the left arm first this time. Left arm goes up and over, lengthening through the whole side of the body. And then right arm goes up and over, breathing. And then bring that hand down. Okay, we're going to go back to a few rocks. So you can skip it or feel your spine really round and roll back and up. And again, over time, less kicking. You can even hold your legs in closer so that you really have to use your spine rounding to roll yourself. One more like that. And then once again, we're sitting up with our feet in front of us, hip distance, trying to rotate your pelvis up, but without pushing the ribs forward. Ribs relax down, ears slide back. Nice and slowly turn your neck only and look over your right shoulder. Feel the twist. And bring your head back and turn and look over your left shoulder. Breathing. Bring your head back. Now turn your belly button to the right. Really feel the waist turn, right where the belly button is. And turn your belly button to the left. And then unwind. Walk your feet a little bit wider. Tilt your pelvis upright. And once again, we'll turn our head and look to the right. Turn and look to the left, breathing. Keep letting the breath flow. Feel the turn of the neck muscles. Unwind, and now we'll turn from the belly button. Belly button turns to the left, so not focusing so much on the head turning and really focusing on the waist turning. And then belly button turns to the right. And now we're going to unwind, and now we are going to come onto all fours. So coming onto all fours, knees right under your hips, thumbs spread out towards each other, hands walk back so they're under your shoulders, or even a little bit underneath your chest. Let your belly relax so your tailbone comes into the air. And from here, we're going to bend our elbows and rotate them out to the side and wrap them in so our elbow pits point forward. And if you're familiar with a rhomboid push-up, you can find the top of the rhomboid push-up the whole time we're doing this. I'll show you from the front view. So thumbs spread out, hands a little bit wider than hips, and back them up. And then with the top of a rhomboid push-up, rotate your elbows out and wrap them in so they point straight behind you. Rotate out and wrap in. Rotate out and wrap in. Press through gently through more parts of the palms of your hands. Rotate out and wrap in. And even though our elbow pits might not always turn forward, we're always coming back to that action, the wrapping in action. So keep them wrapped in from here. Lift the back of your head towards the ceiling. You're still looking down at your mat, and nice and slowly turn your head to the right. And nice and slowly turn your head to the left. Let's do that one more time each side. Turn your head to the right. And turn your head to the left. And then from there, bring your forearms down right under your shoulders. Reach your right arm behind your left arm. You can rest your head on your other forearm. Try to touch the back of your hand and more of your fingernails of your right arm to the floor. Check in with your feet. Even if the tops of your feet are relaxed down, do they always roll to one side? Try to gently press down through the center of your feet. Let's switch arms. Slide your right elbow out, put it right under your shoulder. Slide your left arm through. palm face up of the left hand. Try to touch all your fingernails and more parts of the back of the hand to the floor. Letting your breath flow here. Great time to breathe into the sides and the backs of the rib cage. All right, and then slide that arm out, come up, and now let's do some rhomboid push-ups. So hands a little wider than hips, elbow pits wrap forward, belly relaxes so tailbone is in the air, and it's just an upper body movement. The rib cage drops down, and you lift from the armpits and the breastbone, and the rib cage lifts up. So when the rib cage goes up, try not to tuck your pelvis under. Your belly stays relaxed. Breathing. Great way to break up tension all around the shoulder girdle. Press equally through the palms. If you've been doing these a while, really work on wrapping your elbow pits forward. One thing you do have to be conscious of is if you are the kind of person that can push your elbows in front of your wrist. If that's you, you've got to softly back up your elbows so that they're not going in front of your wrist. All right, bring your forearms back down to the floor. This time, tuck your toes under as much as you comfortably can. So really get the toes tucked under. You can lift one knee at a time. Try to keep your heels centered so your heels point straight up in the air, and slowly go back and forward with your hips. Keeping your belly relaxed and your tailbone pretty high. Relaxing any clenching around the thighs, any clenching around the buttocks muscles. All right, and we're going to stretch our feet more in a moment, so if you want to give your feet another break as you come back up, you can. Tops of the feet press down, hands a little wider than the hips, elbow pits wrap forward, hands back under the shoulders or the chest, and then find the top of that rhomboid push-up, and all you're going to do is bend your elbows and point them straight behind you, and on the way down and the way up, the elbows might want to pop out. You're trying to keep them hugging in as you press up. So two things are challenging here. One is keeping the elbows in, both on the way down and the way up. And two is kind of keeping that rhomboid push-up. A lot of times when people bend down, they sink their spine down. So we're trying to keep the rib cage lifted as you bend and straighten. And if your elbows are getting to the floor, that means you're starting with your hands way in front of your shoulders. So back your hips up. And as you bend your elbows, it's just your torso moving. You're not backing your hips up as you bend your elbows. Hips stay right over the knees. Press more equally through more parts of the palms of the hands. Breathing. And now tuck your toes under. And if the toes don't tuck under very much, one thing that could be helpful is if you put a towel under your knees or an extra rolled up mat or a couple thin blocks. If you get your knees higher, it'll allow you to tuck your feet under a little bit more. So that's an option. Now here you also have multiple options. The first one is you can just sit back on your heels and stretch the bottom of your feet. And we're going to do different moves from this position. But if this does not work for you, then your two other options that you're going to work on are one, just standing up on your knees with your feet tucked under. And if you stay here long enough, especially if it's not comfortable for you to sit back, you will feel a stretch here on the bottom of your feet. The next thing you can work on is slowly sitting your hips back, and once your feet or your thighs or your knees object, slowly come up. Now you don't want to go to a place where you feel any kind of pain. You're stopping way before then, but you're just working on sitting back a little bit and coming back up. So work on those two things if sitting all the way back is not an option for you. Otherwise, you can sit all the way back on your heels, and keeping your heels sticking straight up, you can lean your torso back to put a little bit more weight on the bottom of your feet and bring your torso back up. And you can either go forward and back, or if it feels nice, you can even just stay back there. Also stretches the front of the thigh, so your choice. I'm going to go forward and back a couple more times. And then from here, if you're sitting back on your heels, another way to just get the improve the range of motion in the feet and the ankles is to nice and slowly lift one knee off the floor and lower, and lift the other knee off the floor and lower, and lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. And then from there, release the bottom of your feet, push them down for just a moment, come on up onto your knees, step your right foot forward into a low lunge. And now we're just going to practice this motion of stepping in and out of a lunge. You're pushing down through the back leg hip, putting the hip right over the knee, and then you're stepping the foot back. And then you're doing the same thing on the other side. You're pushing down and hugging the hip in towards your body as you step the other foot forward. And over time, you're trying to do it with a little less momentum and a little smoother motion, which I definitely don't do every time. So it's a practice. Start with your knees hip distance apart, stepping your right foot forward and stepping it back. Push down through the right hip, step the left foot forward and step it back. Push down through the left hip, step the right foot forward and step it back. Push down through the right hip, step the left foot forward and step it back. One more each side. Right foot goes forward and back, and left foot goes forward and back. Now right foot steps forward, hold, reach your arms out to the side low, pubic bone gently pressing forward, and with your hands low, turn your wrist down, flip your wrist up. Bring your hands a little higher. Turn your wrist down, flip your wrist up. Turn your hands, lift your arms a little higher. Wrist down, wrist up, arms a little higher, wrist down, wrist up. Slowly lower your hands. Switch legs. Right foot steps back, press down. Left foot steps forward, pubic bone right under your top two pelvis bones, ribs relax down. Let's start with our arms high. Flip your wrist down and up, a little lower. Wrist turn one way and the other way, a little lower. Wrist turn and flip and little lower. Wrist flip one way, wrist flip the other way. And from there, tuck your back toes under and push down to come up. All right, we're just standing for a few moments here with the outer edges of your feet straight, your ankles hip distance apart. We'll work on stance. So feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Back your hips up so your ankle, your knee, and the center of your hip are on one line, hips over heels. Turn your elbow pits and palms forward and pull your two arms back and let them relax forward. So it's an arm swing, but you're really just using muscle to pull back and you're trying to relax forward as much as possible. The forward lift just comes from the momentum since you're pulling your arms back. And breathing here. And let's go to one arm at a time. So one arm pulls back and then the other arm pulls back. And again, you're really focusing on the pull back and letting the arm relax forward. Try to move from the very top of the arm bone where your arm bone meets your shoulder socket and breathing here. Check, is your weight still back in your heels? Are you relaxing the front of the thighs as much as you can? And then pause with the arms, push down through your outer right hip, hug it in if it tends to pop out to the side. Let your left foot float up, and how about micro swing backs here? So little swing backs with that leg, and they're very, very small. So if you swing back too far, you bypass the work in the hip and you start taking it into the lower back. So we're just doing really small swing backs to slightly open the front of the hip and help the buttocks and the back of the thigh engage a little bit. And let's switch sides. Feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down, hug the hip in, the foot floats up, and micro swing backs. And of course, it's always okay here to have your hand on a wall or a chair. It's even better if it's helping you keep your weight back in the heel of the standing leg. But you've got to work on pushing down through that standing side of the body. All right, let's go back to the first leg. Push down through the hip, hug it in. The opposite foot floats up, flex the ankle. And then from here, let's do an arm swing while balancing on one leg. And let's switch. Feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Push down, hug the hip in. You're balancing on your opposite leg. Flex the ankle, back the weight up into the heels. And how about an arm swing here? And this is essentially, in many ways, breaking down walking, but just building your endurance. All right, and then put that foot down. So from here, you're going to use a wall, and you're going to do two different heights. And I don't have a side wall, so I'm going to have to face away from you for a moment. But one height is you're going to be high on the wall, and the second height, your hands are going to be more chest height, so like above your head and chest height. And if you only have a chair, you can just do this with a chair. You can put your hands on the back of a chair. But you're going to put your hands starting high, spread your thumbs out, hands shoulder distance apart, and push your hips straight back with your ankles right underneath your hips. And then you're going to keep your left hand exactly where it is and reach your right arm straight down to the floor. So your upper body's twisting down a little bit. And then bring that right hand back up, reach your left hand straight down, and twist like you're trying to reach towards the floor and backing your weight up into your heels. Bring that hand back up. Now take both of your hands chest height. You might have to walk your feet back a little bit. Push your hips back, breathing. 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. Get that nice long length through the whole back of your body. Reach your right arm to the floor and twist like you're reaching down to the floor. And then bring that hand back up. Keep your right hand where it is. Reach your left hand down to the floor and gently twist like you're reaching that hand to the floor. And bring that hand back up and push your hips back for one more moment. Press back from your buttocks into your heels to come up to stand. And then from the top of your mat with your feet straight, ankles hip distance, elbow pits and palms forward, lift your arms up into the air without lifting your ribs. Pull them straight back. Let's do that one more time. Lift your arms up. Pull them straight back. Now from here, as you lift them up, sit back into a chair pose, trying to really push the hips back. And just swing your arms back. One more time with the arms. Arms sweep up. And this time as your arms sweep down, bring them to the floor. Keep your right foot forward. As you step your left leg back, lower that knee down to the floor. Come on up into a low lunge here. You can always pad your back knee. You're keeping your pelvis in neutral, so trying to keep it in a vertical line as opposed to tipping your pelvis. And you're just seeing how far forward and back can you move without your pelvis tilting. Breathing here. You might start with your right ankle a little bit in front of your knee. And then go very slow and go ahead and let your pelvis tilt and your knee bend a little more and come out of there. And do that a few times. Take your time, not forcing anything, going slow so you can feel how it feels on your knee, how it feels on your lower back. All right, and then from there, so your right leg is pointing ahead, you're going to spin your left leg. You can bring your hands down. You're going to spin your left toes to point behind you. So now you're coming up and you're facing sideways. And you might not be facing me anymore. That's okay. You're facing sideways with your right foot out to your side. You spun your left foot around behind you. And then either arm, we're going to do both, but you can start with your right hand on your right knee and lift your left arm up and over. And I know if you're facing me, it's probably not mirroring because of the way I had to spin my legs. And switch. Your opposite arm goes up and over. And then bring that hand down and nice and slowly bend into that right knee. So you're facing forward, your right knee's bent out to the side, bend in. And back up. Take your time. Bend in and back up. Nothing should bother your knees. Either stack a cushion under there or slightly move your knee. There shouldn't be any discomfort in your knee. Bend in and back up. All right, from there, take that right leg, step it in to meet your left leg. You have two options here. You have multiple options here with your knees hip distance apart. First option is to sit back to the right. Same thing, if your knees and hips or feet object at some part, and come up and sit back to the left. Now, if it's no problem for you to sit all the way back on your heels, two options here is, one is you could put something on either side of your hips, like two low blocks or two towels, and you could slide your hips to the right and slide your hips to the left, and you're landing on either of your props as you go side to side. Option 3 is to not have props and shift your hips and go all the way to the floor and use your waist to pull you up and slide over to the other side. Now, at first, when people try to do this, what often happens is they end up falling to the floor and they have to use a lot of momentum to get up. So if that's the case, use a couple towels next to you or a couple thin blocks so you can slide with more ease to one side and the other. But we're all going to meet with our right hip down and our legs curled around to us to the left. So right hip down, legs curled around to the left, and then you're going to reach your right hand out beside you, and you're going to slowly twist your left arm behind your right arm. And you can walk it through as much as feels comfortable, but just start out slow. This is often the kind of stretch that people feel like, some people feel, oh, this is a nice stretch, and then they come out of it and they realize it was a bigger stretch than they thought. So that's why I say ease your way into it. All right, and then slide that left arm out. And now we're going to switch the position of our legs. So you're going to bring your right foot forward with your left knee still tucked behind you. So right foot forward with left knee tucked behind you. And then we're going to, once again, now see here with your right knee forward, your left leg tucked behind you, can you bring your left hip all the way to the floor? And if not, you could stick a towel or something under your hip to allow it to release down more. And now we're going to do the same stretch, but without letting our left hip lift up. So it might be a lot smaller. Let it be small. Reach your right hand out and reach your left arm through. And we don't have to feel a great sensation here. We might, but we don't have to. We're just going for moving different parts of us. So that doesn't always mean we're going for a deeper sensation. It's usually the muscles in us that don't move that have the least amount of sensation to begin with. Usually your deeper muscles is not what is creating a lot of sensation for you. It's usually when you're moving with your connective tissue. All right, and then unwind that arm. So from here, you have this position of your legs. Now you're going to do the best you can to lift both of your knees up and switch. So now it's your left leg forward and your right leg tucked behind you. And it's kind of like a hip walk. Lift your knees up and spin around to the other side. Now at first, you might need to have your hands behind you so you can lean back a little bit as you shift your legs side to side. But over time, try to keep your pelvis upright as you take your legs to one side and then to the other side. All right, bring your legs in front of you. Feet flat, knees hip distance apart. Walk your hands behind you, turn your fingers to point away from you, and then you can decide how much, with your hands flat behind you and just about under your shoulders, you can decide how much you want to scoot your hips forward to give a little bit of a stretch across your chest or a lot of stretch across your chest. Press gently through the palms. Sometimes we bend the elbows here. Today we're going to keep the arms straight. And then how about flipping your hands around so your fingers point toward you and trying to straighten your arms all the way, pressing equally through the palms of the hands and breathing. All right, from there, walk your fingers up to you. Now your right hip is down, scoot your legs back around to the left. And then from there, come on up onto your knees. From your knees, you can either work from all fours, so hands and knees, Or, and if you're working from hands and knees, you're going to start with your hands in front of your shoulders. Or if you're okay with a little bit more load on your arms, you're going to scoot your knees back into a modified plank pose. And you're still working on wrapping your elbow pits forward and keeping your ribs lifted. Your knees just went back behind your hips. From here, we're going to go back into a straight arm child's pose with our hips staying a little bit high. And slide forward. And every time you come forward, elbow pits wrap forward. Find the top of the rhomboid push-up. Try not to sink it. Lift up through your rib cage. And push back. Press equally through the palms. And come forward. Shoulders over the wrists. Elbow pits wrap forward. Top of a rhomboid push-up. Slide the hips back. And forward. And we'll do this one more time now. Slide the hips back. And forward. All right, elbow pits wrap forward. You can stay on all fours, or you can take a modified plank, or you can tuck your right toes and tuck your left toes and lift your legs into plank. Ramp the back of the head towards the ceiling. Turn your head slowly to the right. Turn your head slowly to the left. Bring your head back to center. Lift your hips up and back into a downward dog pose. Check feet are straight, ankles hip distance apart. Press equally through the palms. If your spine is really rounded here, bend your knees, stick your hips back to get some more length through your spine. And then we're gonna just walk our hands back. We're gonna do 2, 3, and 4. So this is 1, walk your hands back a step, your hips back up a little more. This is 2. And again, you can work with straight legs or bent knees, depending on the day, depending on how your spine feels. Or you can go back and forth between bending and straightening your legs. Walk back 3. Back your hips up. Heels might come a little closer to the floor. Never forcing anything. Walk your hands back 4. Weight back in the heels now. And then either straight legs or bent knees, push into your heels and slowly come on up to stand. And now from stand, grab whatever you're using for a calf stretch. Put it in front of your right foot with your feet straight, ankles hip distance. Put the ball of the right foot up, the heel down, and then you can decide. You can step the left foot forward any amount as long as you don't feel like you lose your balance or you clench your leg muscles. Or a lot of times when you step the foot forward, the whole body goes with. So if that happens, then just don't step your foot so far forward at first. Breathing here, enjoying your calf stretch. So often we add so many other things to the calf stretch. Notice your ankle. Does it tend to roll to one side or the other? Can you center it? And then from there, step your outside foot back, switch feet. Put the ball of the foot up, the heel down. Outer edges of feet straight. Maybe you step that outside foot forward depending on the reaction of the rest of your body. Calf stretch and how far you can step forward and keep your heel grounded the whole time is a great measurement tool for your stride length. So if someone, a lot of times people start in a calf stretch and their foot has to step back here, they're not even equal yet. When that's happening, that means when they're walking, they're using very little of the muscles in the back of the legs because it's become so stiff and tense back there. So your first goal is just to get your feet even. And you have to be patient and just do calf stretches every day. And then eventually you'll be able to step forward, which means that you start getting a stride length where you're starting to use the backs of your legs more when you're walking, which is so important for long-term balance, for pelvic floor health, for prostate health, for so many things for the body. Okay, come on off of there. So you are kind of at the back of your mat. Now you're just gonna turn around, feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Palms face forward, elbow pits forward without lifting the ribs. Arms rise up and sweep back. Weight back in the heels, arms rise up and sweep back. As your arms rise up, sit back into your chair pose, stay. Sweep your arms back. Sweep your arms up. This time, fold over your legs, keep your left foot forward, step your right leg back, softly lower your knee down, come on up. You can always pad your right knee and then start with your pelvis neutral, and we're moving forward and back, but just keeping a neutral pelvis, so not tilting our pelvis at all. And just seeing how that feels for the front of the right hip, the front of the right thigh. Check that your ankle's right behind your knee. Breathing. And then let's go ahead and let our pelvis tilt a little and go a little further. Maybe the knee goes past the ankle. Go slow. Does the knee cave one way or the other? Our alignment is trying to move us out of our patterns of the way we move all the time that don't support the function of our bodies. But just because we move in those ways doesn't mean those are bad movements. We want to be able to move in all ways eventually, and that's the purpose. Once you get really good at moving from a place of neutral alignment, because you're using your muscles in a more balanced way, it'll give you the freedom to move in all ways with more ease. All right, from here, we're doing that tricky transition where your left foot stays put and you spin your right foot behind you. Now, if that was uncomfortable, you can put your hands down and just spin the right leg behind you. You can pad that knee. You're in this open warrior stance. That's why I call it an open lunge. So now your torso is kind of facing away from your left leg. And then you bring your left hand down to your left knee. Right arm goes up and over. And we'll switch. We'll side bend on the other side. Doesn't matter which side you do first. And then from there, you're going to bend into your left knee and come out a little. And bend in and press out. 2 more like that. Bend in, nice and slowly. Press out and bend in and press out. And then lean onto your right leg so your left knee can come down, hip distance apart. And your 3 options here. Option 1 is just go down back to one side a little, come up, and sit a little to the other side and come up. And even if you can easily do the one where you're all the way back, this is a nice variation sometimes. Option 2 is to put 2 towels or 2 blocks on either side of you and shift your hips, and it gives you a little bit more height to go side to side. So you have a smoother transition. And really, even if this option 3 is an option where you're going to the floor, I highly recommend doing the other ones too. Because remember, this is all about using all of our ranges of motion. And this uses different muscles than the one where I had some things by my side. And I can feel, because I've done this so many times, I actually need more practice with bolsters by my sides. So you never want to think that you're doing the more advanced pose. That's not the way the body works. You want to work towards things that you're unable to do, but you never want to stop doing all the other stages, all the other steps. All right, this time when our hips go over to the left, we're going to stay there. Our legs are tucked around to the right. We're reaching our left hand out and reaching our right hand under any amount. And breathing. And then we're walking that hand out. We're coming upright and we're sliding our left foot forward into like a pigeon seat and our right leg behind us. And then we're doing the same movement, but you're seeing, can your right hip come down to the floor? And if not, you could stick a little towel under there or something under there. Let that hip come down, reach your left hand out, and try not to let that hip come up as you reach. And you really don't want to force. We're not trying to force the hip down. So it's a matter of how much is my hip relaxed and with a lot of ease reaching through. We don't want to force our hip down at all. And breathing. Okay, let's try that hip walk again. And again, you can just lean back, have your hands behind you, but your knees lift up and spin around. If you have a bunch of props all over, you're gonna have to move them around. And your body just kind of goes all over the place. It's like you're walking on your hips. Knees go to one side, Lift up and go to the other side. How about one more each side? All right, bring your legs in front of you. Bring your hands behind you with your fingers pointing away from you. Hands a little bit behind the shoulders, but not much. Ankles a little bit in front of the knees, but not much. You have an option is you can stay here and do the same stretch we did originally. And so if you're gonna do that, you might scoot your hips a little bit farther away from your hands. Or pushing down equally through the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet, lift up into a tabletop pose and breathing here. Try to feel like your legs are working just as much as your upper body, which is challenging at first, for sure. And then put your hips back down, and maybe how about doing it with your arms a little bit more neutral so your fingers flip to face you, elbow pits wrap forward, push into the feet. Just like in the bridge lift, you're not lifting through your ribs, you're using your feet and your hips to do the lifting. Push down and lift up through the back of the legs. Now, sometimes it's the tension in the upper body that's not allowing the hips to lift higher. Sometimes it's the tension in the lower body, but you're just doing the best you can and breathing. And then lower your hips down, scoot your feet a little forward so your pelvis can rotate upright. Twist your belly button to one side for a moment. Twist your belly button to the other side for a moment. And then come back to where you're on your left hip and your legs scoot around to your right. And then from there, come back onto all fours. Now you have options again. You can go from all fours with your hands forward and backing your hips up and coming back. Or with your hands underneath your chest, you can walk your knees back to a modified plank, ribs up, elbow pits forward, and slide your hips back. But we're going to add something if you choose to. As you come forward with your ribs up, elbow pits forward, bend your elbows halfway, press away, and push your hips back. Two long arms. And shoulders forward over the wrist, elbow pits wrap forward, top of the rhomboid push-up, bend, press up, slide your hips back. Let's do that 2 more times. Forward, top of the rhomboid push-up, elbow pits wrap forward, bend, press up, slide the hips back, nice long spine, press equally through the feet. 1 more. Go forward, elbow pits wrap, top of the rhomboid push-up, bend, press up, and back your hips up, breathing. All right, for just a second, tuck your toes under, bring the backs of your hands to the mat. Maybe sit your hips back a little bit. And then come back, walk back forward onto all fours or modified plank pose. From here, rhomboid push-up, elbow pits wrap, back of the head towards the ceiling, tuck your left toes under, followed by your right toes. Lift your knees back into a plank pose. Nice and slowly turn your head to the left. Turn your head to the right. Come back to center. Back your hips up into a downward facing dog, pushing your thigh bones back and breathing. And walk your hands back 1 step. Hips push back. It's okay to bend the knees, sticking the hips back up into the air. Walk your hands back another step. Walk your hands back 1 more step. Now your weight's going back into your heels. See, the other day I did this, I wanted to keep my legs straight. Today I want to keep my knees bent. Listen to your body. And then push your weight back into your heels and slowly come on up to stand. All right, from there, feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down through one side. And from there, top of the foot stretch. We almost always do calf stretch, top of the foot stretch. That shows you how important they are. You can always put a pillow or a towel under the top of your foot, especially if you feel like it doesn't relax. I've had a lot of people tell me that this version sitting down was more beneficial for their foot because when they're standing, their foot muscles just wouldn't relax. So if that's the case for you, try it sitting. I like to do it both ways, and I do it sitting often too. Let's switch. Outer edges of feet, straight ankles, hip distance. Push down through the hip, hug it in, tuck the top of the opposite foot behind you. Breathing here. All right, release that foot. You're at the back of your mat, feet hip distance apart or a little bit wider. From there, rotate from your pelvis, hinge forward from your hips. Bring your hands down to the mat. Stay. Walk your hands out a step. Press equally through the palms, elbow pits wrapping like they're wrapping to the ceiling. Again, you can straighten your legs back as well a little bit, but let your tailbone lift up. And walk your hands again a little bit further. The heels might come up. Back your hips up. Breathing. And walk your hands out again like you're in a full down dog. Push your hips back. And lower your knees softly to the floor. And from here, we're going to sit back. So you can either choose to sit back like this if this is not an option. Maybe sitting on a block would be a better option. Maybe if you can't get into this position, one thing I'll do when I work with private clients is I'll stack as many bolsters as we need to be able to sit in this position and feel like there's no pressure in the knees or the ankles or the hips or wherever you're feeling pressure, and just practice sitting there for a little while. So that's a great option for you to try to do if you have enough props. But if it's not happening, then just sit up any way you'd like to on something that helps your pelvis get into neutral. And then we'll focus. If you have a strap, you're welcome to tie it around your rib cage. Or you can just place your hands around your rib cage, but right below your chest, below your breast tissue, above your waist is where the strap would go. So that's your feedback tool of where you want to focus on breathing. And I'm going to count some breaths for you. On the inhale, you're inhaling into the strap. Make sure you focus a lot on the back of the sides. It's usually easy for people to breathe into the front. So ribs relax down so you can breathe all the way around. And on the exhale, you're hugging in away from the strap. And if my counting is too fast or too slow for you, please ignore it. You just want to take a breath that's easy and relaxed as much as you can. All right, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. 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 All right, from there, sweep your legs around in front of you. Again, you can have your hips high. I have my hips on a block. For a lot of people, just having their hips on a block isn't enough to get the pelvis in neutral. The spine will either still be rounded back or just straight. You want to actually be able to get yourself so you have some sense of a curve in your lower back, a tiny little curve there. And I might even need to bring my hips higher. And then just sitting upright. And really, again, this goes back to for whatever reason, our chasing sensation. But how often do you sit like this in your daily life? And if you do, excellent. But I know that a lot of people don't. So we don't have to do anything, but just sit like this, just sitting up as much as we can with our legs stretched long. And if there's no way your pelvis is coming close to an upright position, if you have a little stool or something you can sit on, that's a great place to practice this from, or a low chair, and just stretch your legs out. And if you're really nowhere close to an upright pelvis, Practice just when you're sitting in a normal chair, straightening your legs more often and trying to tilt your pelvis upright. All right, let's take a little bit of a forward fold here. And then slowly come back up and just sit upright again. Pelvis upright. When your pelvis goes upright, do you push your ribs forward? Ribs stay relaxed down, ears back up over the shoulders. And a little forward fold again. Rotating from the pelvis. The spine rounds too a little. And slowly come up, and you are ready for your final pose, Savasana. So come onto your back, whatever you need to be comfortable, maybe a block under your head. I used to always love having a blanket on top of me for Savasana in your home, so that's an option. So feel free to grab a blanket and cover yourself with a blanket. And let your gaze soften or your eyes gently close. And become very present with your body, very present with your breath. So if it's one of those days when the mind won't stop going, that's when you use your breath as a tool. You keep coming back to your breath over and over again, as many times as you need to, patiently and persistently. If it's a day where your mind, for whatever reason, has calmed down a little bit, that's where you start to use your body as a tool for healing. And you scan your body and feel your body part by part, piece by piece. You know, your feet, your legs, your hands, your arms. You can break it down even more, your knees, your elbows. And you're scanning your body, not so slow that your mind gets bored and starts to wander off, and not so quick that you're just going from your head to feet in a second. You're taking a little time to feel the parts of your body. But this is very, very healing for not only the body and the mind, but use the tools well. It's not going to be helpful if your mind is wandering and you keep trying to scan the body. So, and I'm talking about a very wild mind, like it just won't even stay concentrated for a second. For most people, a calm mind is we get 5 to 10 seconds without our thoughts wandering around. So just so you know, it's not like your mind is just silent. If your mind's taking a little longer to wander, that's when you use your body scan. If your mind is just every second flying away, come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. Return to your body, your breath. When the mind wanders, Today, I am fortunate to have woken up. I am alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. I'm going to use all my energies to develop myself, to expand my heart out to others, to practice compassion for the benefit of all beings. I'm going to have kind thoughts towards myself and others. I am not going to get consumed in thinking angry or badly about myself or others. I am going to benefit myself and others as much as I can. Let your breath come into your awareness. If you're ready to start moving, you can move any way that feels nice to you. For some people, it's a nice long stretch. For some people, it's circling the ankles or the wrist. For some, it's hugging the knees in. And by some people, I mean it changes every day. So whatever you feel today, with ease, move a little, or stay still until you're ready to roll over onto your side. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your side with a softness in your face. Press yourself up to a seated position. You can always sit differently than you normally choose to sit. Bring your hands to heart center in gratitude for this day, in gratitude for this precious life. Namaste.